Hey there, internets. I'm Michael, and this is Toucan Play That Game, bringing you another edition of Game Night in Review, where I talk about the games that people are playing at game night, both played by me and by other people. So, the games at the previous games night being played, we had Cluedo, we had Concept, and then I played Elysium and the Great Dalmuti. So those will all be featured in this episode. But before I start talking about the games, just the usual caveats that these are not full reviews. I've not done full playtesting on all of these games at lots of different levels. It's just my thoughts on them. Some of them I may not even have played, and it's just whether or not I'm interested in them. But it's kind of just to give you an idea of what other people are playing elsewhere. So, with that out the way, let's start by talking about the games other people were playing. So, the first one I'm going to talk about is Cluedo. Now, everyone probably knows what Cluedo is. It's one of those games that falls into that classics category because it's been around so long and is so mainstream. But in case you don't know, the whole thing of Cluedo is you are these characters and you're moving around this board that represents a big like manor house type thing, and you're trying to determine who killed someone. I can't remember who it is who's dead. Maybe the butler, or is one of the options the butler did it actually, so I don't know. Anyway, someone's dead and you're trying to figure out who killed them, where they killed them, and what with. And so you're just travelling around the board, gaining information and insight onto those facts. And then when you think you know the answer, you check. Now, that kind of simplifies the game down a lot, but not a huge deal. It's one of these games that falls into that kind of roll and move category, a bit like Monopoly. Like Monopoly, it's one of those mainstream games as well. And I must say that I am not a fan of Cluedo. And a big part of that is when I was a kid, I played Monopoly, and despite me knowing Monopoly's not a great game, I still love it because I grew up playing it. But I didn't grow up playing Cluedo like some people did. Now, the person who brought this game and the people who were playing it, they'd all played it as children and loved it as children, and that is why they were playing it still today. And I think realistically that's probably the main reason anyone will play Cluedo nowadays, is because of nostalgia more so than it actually being a good game. The other game that was being played by other people at Games Night was Concept. Now, this is a game I own, and I haven't actually managed to play this game since I got it for Christmas. So the version that was being played wasn't actually mine, it was a friend's, and I think it was their copy that I first played that made me want to get Concept. So it is, for those of you that don't know, a party game, and it's very much in the same vein as charades or Pictionary, you know, that kind of thing, where you've got an idea and you're trying to get it across to people. Now, in those games, you'll either use gestures or pictures to try and do that. But in Concept, you have a board that is your pictures that you're using. And so on this board, you have all these different images of various things, and you can then put little tokens on those to say, right, it's a person, and that person is a mythical creature, something along those lines. So that's the whole kind of idea of the game, that you're selecting these different things and kind of breaking it down further and further to more detail by selecting these images to get an idea across. And you start with, of course, cards that you'll be picking what you're doing from. And there's all sorts of things on here: people, places, sayings, all sorts. and there's a lot of cards, so there's a great variety in the options available. Now, obviously, I've said before that I'm not a big fan of party games, and yet here is a party game that I have added to my collection. And I think a big part of it is it has all that fun of what people enjoy about charades and Pictionary, that kind of guessing and saying ridiculous things. But it doesn't have that aspect of, like, especially with Pictionary, where you're drawing something and you think you've drawn this masterpiece, that it's obvious what it is, and everyone else is there going, it's a blob. So it kind of avoids that. You don't have to have innate skill. It's just, I have an idea, let me get that idea across. And you've got the images already there and you're just selecting them. And you can just change it as you're going, and it just works really well. I think it is a good game. It's not one that will get a lot of play. As I say, it is a party game. It's not one I'll sit down and play with my wife. You could play this two-player, just taking turns, guessing and giving the clues, but it just wouldn't be as much fun. The fun in this game comes from the banter around the table of ridiculous idea over here, and then that feeds into someone else's idea, and you can enjoy it. And I mean, you can enjoy this as a two-player. Some people do, but it's not one I will choose to play as a two-player game. But overall, a good game and well worth checking out. So that's all the games other people were playing. Now let's get on to the games I was playing. So the big main game was Elysium. Now, I did do a unboxing video for this last week, and since then I've been trying to play this as much as possible so that I can do my full review of it. Now, I'm not quite ready to do that yet, and I don't want to give too much away at this early stage of what my thoughts are and feelings about the game. I will say that I am enjoying the game, and that so far, you know, I have been playing with a lot of different player numbers, and that I'm very bad at the game. But that's a good sign that I'm enjoying it despite the fact that I keep losing. I have yet to win a game, actually. I've never won a game yet of Elysium, but I'm enjoying it, and I am not finding it repetitive yet, so that's a good sign. And I think I've played 2 or 3 games recently, and then 2 or 3 a while ago. So, you know, I'm up to about 6 plays, and I have yet to feel like the gameplay was just the same every game. So that is a very good sign of the longevity of the game and the fact that I'm enjoying it. I mean, unfortunately, there were no kind of interesting stories from this game, like there have been some in recent game night and reviews. But as I say, if you are interested in Elysium and finding out more about the game itself and about my thoughts on the game, I will have videos coming out probably within the next week on this game. So keep an eye out, and of course subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing those. So then the final game we played last night at Games Night, it was kind of a bit of a fillery game, just at the end of the night once everyone had finished all their other games, and that was the Great Dalmuti. Now, this is a small box game, which I kind of need to get more small box games, easily transportable, etc. This is definitely by no means a bad small box game in my mind. Is it a good one? I'd say it's okay, but that's partly because it's got that whole party game aspect of a quick filler, and I struggle to really get engaged and want that kind of game. But let me tell you a bit about what the game actually is. So in the Great Dalmuti, you deal out all the cards, and in this deck of cards, there are 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s, and you guessed it, it goes on. The number of cards equals the number on the card, all the way down to 1 1. And then there are also 2 jesters that are wilds. And you'll deal out all these cards to everyone, and people are trying to get rid of all their cards first. Now, something that's a bit different in this to other card games of this like is that you have 2 places that are special. you have a Greater Dalmuti and a Lesser Dalmuti that are like the nobles of the court, and they get extra benefits. For starters, the Greater Dalmuti is the first player, and then you also have lesser people, which are called peons. And between those, you have what are called merchants. So as you can see already, you're going to need at least 4 people, ideally 5 or more, in order for this game to really work. And that's probably another reason why I don't have it, because as I've said throughout this whole channel, and the reason this channel is Toucan Play That Game, is because a lot of my gameplay is with 2 people. And this game cannot play 2 people, and definitely would not be fun with 2 people. But anyway, back to what you're doing. So you have these lesser people, and they have to give their best cards to the Dalmutis. And obviously that means that the peons are likely to stay peons and stay worse, because the last person to go out is the peon, and the first person to go out is the Greater Dalmuti. And if they've got the better cards, they're more likely to go out first. And it does tend to stay that way, although there are slight changes. And the whole idea is you'll play your cards face up on the table. You'll say like 4 12s, and then someone has to play the same number of cards, but a lower number. So 4 10s or 4 11s could be played on 4 12s. But if you played 4 4s, someone wouldn't be able to then play 4 5s or even 3 3s. So that's kind of the nature of the game. You're just going round after round. It just shifts. There's no real end point or any real winner feel to this game. It's just having a laugh, playing the game, getting your cards out. Now, normally playing this, and I have played this quite a few times, I do really poorly. And no matter where I start the game, even if I start as the Great Dalmuti, I will end the game as the peon. And I don't know why, I've just never really been good at it, or maybe I've just been unlucky all this time. But last night I had so much luck. I had the best luck I've ever had in this. I started off as the Great Dalmuti, so good luck there, because we randomly determine it off of who gets the lowest card dealt to them type thing. And then, as well as that, I then got dealt this fantastic hand of cards, like better than I've ever had, where I had like 6 12s, and it was like, okay, so I'm going first, I'm going to play 6 12s. The chances of someone else having 6 of anything is pretty slim, and they didn't. So that was half my cards gone in one turn. So that was a great start, and then it just carried on like that. And then the second round we had the same. I just couldn't believe my luck last night. I started as the Great Dalmuti and I ended as the Great Dalmuti. So that was great and makes a nice change for me. So as you can tell, I do quite like the Great Dalmuti, but as I've said, because of that not playing 2 players, it's not a game I'll be adding to my collection. But if you're not so worried about the whole 2-player thing, it might be one worth you checking out. So that's it for game night last night. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and of course if you have, please do share it with your friends and family, and check out the rest of the videos on the channel, because you might enjoy those too. As well as doing that, please do subscribe to the channel, and you can also check us out on social media. We are on Facebook and also on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.